I'm just initiating the recording. Okay. So thanks, guys. Thanks for joining. My name is Vijay Kumar Vemula. I am architect Citrix and Azure, and I'm certified Microsoft trainer. I just I just got the certification a couple of weeks back before this session. So my background basically is into the infrastructure management, and then I worked as subject matter expert in Citrix, and then I moved into designing and solutioning the infrastructure. So my specialization is Citrix as well as Azure. So that's a little bit about me. So today's topic, what we are going to discuss is about Azure Virtual Networks and subnets, and it will be more practical stuff rather discussing too much of theory. We'll discuss theory to an extent whatever it is needed. So before we actually get into the discussion of what exactly virtual network is and what subnets are and what exactly virtual network peering, that's what today's agenda for us. So let us try to get a little bit back to the traditional data center model or your virtualization environment and try to understand how exactly the infrastructure will be and how exactly your network within the virtualization or physical server world or data center management world will be. So to talk about that, so we all know that in the traditional data center model, your entire infrastructure will have what do you call it as switches, routers, and all those things, and you divide your infrastructure into VLANs, virtual LANs. That's how you segment your network, right? You divide your network, and this segmentation is basically based on your environment. Maybe a DMZ will have a separate network, what you call it as entity, and your prod or maybe dev test training kind of. So that's how you used to you used to divide your infrastructure for better security perspective, or it could be better management, right? So those are the ideas behind dividing your infrastructure into components or segments. And when it comes to your virtualization world, you also do the same thing there. You create a virtual networks there, right? So whether it is a VMware or whether it is Hyper-V or Zen server, whatever, you divide your network, a production network, dev test kind of stuff, or even you can further segment your production into multiple layers as well. So your cloud infrastructure is no different than that, right? It's only that you are putting your infrastructure on cloud platform, but when it comes to the network layer, you can assume, or you can think of the same kind of division of the network or dividing your network. Now when we talk about cloud infrastructure, so let me quickly take a small MS Paint so that I'll be able to explain you clearly. So I assume that this is your cloud infrastructure or Azure cloud maybe, right? And in this Azure cloud, so the first thing most of us, when we set up any infrastructure, we have to design our network. We have to understand how our network should be and which component sits in which network layer kind of stuff, right? So within the Azure cloud, when we talk about network, in the sense, where is that you're going to put your resources, right? So at a very high level, Azure network can be divided into a component called as virtual network. So if this is your cloud environment, the network infrastructure of Azure can be divided into multiple virtual networks. So I can have n number of virtual networks. There is a limit about that, but we're not going to discuss that right now. So around 1000 VNets you can create it, but so you go and divide your entire network into something called as virtual network within the Azure cloud. Now, what is this virtual network? Why do you need that? So when we talk about Azure cloud, you can assume that there could be a private network, there could be a public network. When I say private network, it is the network that which is used by your organization. So it is organization specific network that is called as private network. So your Azure cloud has got a private network, and that private network can be segmented into multiple components called as virtual networks. So virtual network is a private network which will help you to divide your Azure cloud environment into segments. So let us say that this is virtual network 1, that which you segmented, and this is your virtual network 2, and this is your virtual network 3, and this is your virtual network 4. So I divided my network into 4 virtual networks. So I may use my virtual network 1 for production environment. I may use my virtual network 2 for DMZ environment. I may use my virtual network 3 for UAT environment, and maybe virtual network 4 for training and other purposes. So I am dividing my network into parts. So when I divide this, I call it as this division, we call it as segmentation. You are segmenting. It's not only segmentation when it comes to the network. By using VNet, you are also isolating. So when we talk about isolation, what does it mean? What it means is your virtual network 1 will not be able to talk to your virtual network 2. Your virtual network 2 will not be able to talk with virtual network 3. And virtual network 4 will not be able to talk with virtual network 1, 2, 3 or any. So when we divide your network, or when you divide your network into segments, you are isolating one virtual network from the other, which means by default, these virtual networks will not be able to communicate with each other. None of the virtual networks will be able to communicate with each other. So that's how the standard or default configuration will be. There will be no communication between VNet 1 and VNet 2, VNet 1 and VNet 3, and VNet 1 and VNet 4. Similarly, VNet 2, VNet 1, VNet 2, VNet 3, and VNet 2, VNet 4. So that is how the isolation is also attained. So virtual network will help you to segment your network into components, and each virtual network is isolated from the other virtual networks within the environment. And for identification purpose, your virtual network will have a name. In our case, we named them as VNet 1, VNet 2, VNet 3, and VNet 4. And what virtual network will also have is it will have an IP address range. This will have an IP address range. So every virtual network, whatever you create, will also have an IP address range, which is used by that VNet for the resources that which we are going to deploy in that VNet. And your virtual network will have a name, as I said, it will have an IP address, and it will also have a location. So every virtual network, you have to define even the location, right? So every virtual network will have a location. Right? So I have 4 virtual networks. They will be part of some location. Now we know that Azure has got its presence across different geographical locations, and we have around 60 plus geographical locations, and your VNets will sit in one of the locations. So your VNet can further be divided. So your VNet can further be segmented into something called as subnets. So I can divide my VNet further into something called as subnets. So your network you're dividing into VNets, your VNets you're further dividing into what? Subnets. Now why do you need subnet? If I am, let us say this production environment, this VNet one is my prod environment. Let us assume so. This is my production environment. But within production environment, I can have different types of what you call it as applications, right? A database production environment, a web server production environment, an application server production environment, file server production environment, and so on. So there is a scope for me to further divide my virtual network into parts, which we call it as subnets. So your virtual network will have at least one subnet when you create it. At least one subnet will be there when you create it. So in this case, in first VNet 1, I am dividing my virtual network into 3 subnets. Subnet 1, subnet 2, and subnet 3. So like your VNet, your subnet will also have an IP address space. This will also have an IP address. So this will also have an IP address. So IP address range or space, whatever you call it as. Okay. Your VNet, you are dividing into subnets, and you can have at least one subnet within the VNet, and a subnet will also have an IP address space, a group of IP addresses. And these IP addresses, the subnets IP addresses will be the subset of IP addresses, whatever you defined here at the VNet level. It is a subset of the IP addresses, whatever you defined here at the VNet level. Let us assume that at VNet level, you allocated, let us say 200 IP addresses. Those 200 IP addresses will be used by these 3 subnets. And you are going to define them, how many IP addresses will be used by each subnet. And as I said, the subnet IP address is subset of the IP address range, whatever you defined here, or it can use the entire address space also. Okay. Now, similarly, you may divide your VNet 2 also into subnets. Maybe this is subnet 4. And this is maybe subnet 5. And subnet 6. Resources, whatever you deploy that requires an IP address, resources, whatever you deploy that requires an IP address will sit in a subnet. For example, if you are deploying a virtual machine, which obviously requires an IP address, and those resources will sit in subnets. So you will not be able to deploy a resource directly in the VNet. It is not allowed. So you have to go and deploy a resource in the subnet. For example, if you are creating a virtual machine that requires an IP address. So when I create my virtual machine, I will be selecting, okay, so you go and sit in this virtual network. Within this virtual network, you go and sit within this subnet. That's what you are going to define. And based on the subnet, whatever it is sitting on, and the range of IP addresses that which are available for this subnet, your virtual machine will get an IP address. That's how it will be. So it's not only virtual machine. Let us assume that you are creating a load balancer. Maybe that is an internal load balancer within your organization intranet. And that intranet load balancer definitely need a private IP address. And where does that get IP address from? It has to sit in a subnet. And of course, that subnet will be part of a VNet. Or let us say that you are deploying some application that requires IP address, and all those applications will sit in the subnets. So that's how it will be. So far what we understood is your virtual networks are nothing but the private network within the Azure cloud. And the virtual networks will help you to divide your Azure cloud environment into multiple segments. And it's not only the segmentation, you are also attaining the isolation, because this communication is not there between the VNets. And each VNet will have a name, it will have an IP address range, and of course a location where exactly that virtual network will be used. And the virtual network, you are dividing it, or you can divide it further into subnets. So during the creation of your virtual network, you will be creating at least one subnet. So far we understood that. And any resource that requires an IP address definitely will sit in a subnet that in turn sits in a VNet, right? That's how it is. Now, the next question that what we need to, or we at least get is, what about the communication between the subnets within the VNet? What about the communication between the subnets within the VNet? So subnet 1 will be able to communicate with subnet 2, subnet 2 will be able to communicate with subnet 3, subnet 3 will be able to communicate with subnet. So there is no restriction when it comes to the internal part of the VNet. So resources within the VNet, or subnets within the VNet, or resources sitting in a subnet within the VNet will be able to communicate with each other. There is no restriction as such. Whereas across the VNet, you have a restriction. Of course, you can override that, which we will be seeing in a while. Okay, now, so let us try to get into a little bit more. So we were saying that every virtual network will have an IP address range or IP address space. And this IP address space you will be defining using a format called as CEDAR format, which stands for classless inter-domain routing. So this is a way where you can define the address space. It is a notation. It's an indication to your Azure virtual network saying that, boss, you can use this IP address and these many IP addresses from this range to this range. That's what you will define in a CEDAR format, which we will understand in a while. So when you create a virtual network, you are going to go and define your address space in CEDAR format. Now, what is this CEDAR format? The CEDAR format notation will be something like this. Okay. So your IP address space or IP address and then N. So N defines the number of IP addresses you get actually. So I'm not getting into the details of that, but I'll explain you very high level to understand how do I know or how do I calculate how many IP addresses I'll get when I define a CEDAR format like this. So let us assume that you are assigning an IP address something like this, 10.0.0/16. So when you assign an IP address space like this, then it gives you somewhere around 65,000 IP addresses. Then how do I know how many IP addresses you are getting? There's a small calculation, something like this, 2 power 32 minus n. So in our case, it is 2 power 32 minus n value is 16, it is 2 power 16. So these many IP addresses you get when you put /16 there. So let us say that you are giving an IP address 10.0.0.0/24. Then again 2 power 32 minus 24, which is 2 power 8, right? Around 256 IP addresses. So you go and define this IP address in CEDAR format to let your Azure virtual network know that this is the IP address range that which I am going to go and use for this virtual network. Okay, so without waiting further, let us quickly get into the practicality of this. Okay, let us try to understand this practically. So I'll go to my Azure portal. And how do I use a virtual network service? I'll say that, okay, virtual network service. Search for the service, it will give you virtual networks. Now this is what you use to create your virtual networks. So what does it say? There is some English here. Create virtual network to securely connect your Azure resources with each other. And of course, you'll use this to connect to the on-premises environment as well. So I go and create a virtual network from here. And when I create a virtual network, it will ask me certain questions. We'll try to understand them. Subscription for billing purpose, right? For billing purpose, you need to go and specify the subscription. And resource group, for logical categorization purpose, you need a resource group. I'll say that I'll create a resource group. I'll call it as demo resource group. Okay, something like this. And as I said, it requires a name. Let us name this as VNet1 as per our diagram. And it also requires a region or location, which I'll call it as Central US. So I am going to go and create a virtual network in a location called as Central US. This VNet1 sits in Central US. And it is visible only to the resources you are deploying in Central US. It has got that boundary of location. It is not visible if you are deploying a resource in India, Central India maybe, and your virtual network you created in Central US, then your resource whichever needs to sit in this VNet will not be able to see that because it is in a different geographical location. Okay, so this is the basic blade. Now let us get into the second one. In the second one, you are specifying the address spaces, IP addresses. This is what I was saying, the CEDAR notation that which you use to define how many IP addresses you want to assign for this particular, or you want to use in this particular VNet. Now, if you put 10.0.0.0/16, then it gives you around 65,536 IP addresses. And from what range to what range? From 10.0.0.0 to 10.0.255.255. So which means the subnets which will sit in this particular VNet1, the subnets which will sit in this particular VNet1 will be using the IP addresses from this 10.0.0.0 to 10.0.255.255 range. So this is IPv4 space. Now, if you have a requirement of IPv6, then of course they gave you this option to define the IPv6 address space as well. Okay. Now, so you understood the address space, and when we create a VNet, I was saying you should be at least creating one subnet. So by default, it picks or it creates a subnet, right? You see it, there is a subnet with the name called as default, which gets created. So during the creation of virtual network, you definitely create at least one subnet. And I don't like this default name. I want to change this. I'll click here and change this to subnet 1. And if you look at this subnet one is using an address space which is 10.0.0.0/24, which obviously is subset of the IP address range that whatever you defined here at the VNet level. And what is the IP address? I can use it 10.0.0.0 to 10.0.0.255, which means I can use 10.0.0.1, 0.2, 0.3 till 10.0.0.255. So I'm changing the name of the subnet and I'm creating one subnet in this VNet, and then I'm not going to discuss about security and tags. We'll review and create it. So now you created a virtual network with one subnet. Okay, you created a virtual network with one subnet. Okay, now let us try to let us wait for this deployment to complete. Right, now you can see this deployment is successful. You have your virtual network created. But my requirement is not one subnet, right? So I'm planning to create 3 subnets here in this 1, 2, and 3. So here I am in the overview pane. Let me quickly discuss this overview pane while we are here. It says where you are, in which resource group, which location, what is the address space, and of course you also can define your DNS servers, which we will be understanding in a while. Now, if I want to add additional subnets, under the settings, I see here this option called as subnets. Now I can go and add additional subnets anytime. But this subnet, whatever you are creating, will be using the address space, which is subset of the address space, whatever you defined at the VNet level. So I'm creating a subnet with an address space of or address range of 10.0.1.0/24. This is my subnet 2. And I can go and create one more subnet, which is my subnet 3. And that of course uses the address space, which automatically picks. See, the Azure network infrastructure, when you deploy it, it easily knows what is the next, available range. So it automatically picks that. I'm going with the default ones, whatever it is taking. So now you have a VNet with 3 different subnets. Okay, you have a VNet with 3 subnets. So what did we do so far? So we created a virtual network with an address space of 10.0.0.0/16, and we deployed this in central US. And within this we created 10.0.0.0/16 in central US, right? So within this, what did we do? We created 3 subnets, and of course each subnet has got an IP address. Okay. Now let us quickly go and use this address space, use this virtual network. Okay, so let us quickly deploy a couple of virtual machines to understand this. So I'm here in the virtual machines and deploying a virtual machine. Now when I deploy a virtual machine, it asks me the subscription, resource group for logical categorization, virtual machine name, and then the location. Now this location is very important. So if I want to use VNet 1, then my VNet 1 is central US. That means that I should be deploying a resource in central US itself. If I am selecting some other region, then I'll not be able to see the virtual network that whatever I deployed, right? And then I'll go and pick a Windows server, easy to manage, and then some username, password. I'll say my name. And of course, some ports that which you want to open from external world, that is 3389 to access this machine. I'm leaving the disks as is. This is what we are going to discuss network. So you selected Central US and it will give me the list of virtual networks which are available in Central US. So since I have only one virtual network, I'll go and select that. But within this virtual network, I have three subnets. I have three subnets. So I need to deploy this machine in one of these subnets. Let us say I want to deploy this in subnet 1. Then I'll select the subnet 1 here. If you have multiple virtual networks, you can pick whichever your environment you want to put this machine in. Right? And then of course the other things that which I'll just not going to discuss this, we can quickly review and create it. So now this virtual machine sits in virtual network 1, and within that virtual network 1, it sits in subnet 1. Okay. Now you can also deploy one more machine in another subnet. Let us say that we want to deploy it in subnet 2. Let me quickly do that. I'll say that's as VM2 Central US, and I'll deploy a Windows server. And username password. Right, so and then I'll go quickly to the networking. And where does this machine sit? It has to sit in VNet 1 but in subnet 2. Right? Let us quickly create this machine. So what did we do? We created VNets, we created subnets, and we deployed virtual machines within them. So while this gets deployed, let us try to understand few things about the virtual networks further. So let us go to our virtual networks. And within this VNet, now I'll go to this address space. Now in this address space, you said that, okay, so I want to use this 10.0.0.0/16 IP address. But the question arises, can I have multiple address spaces? Can I have multiple address spaces? Obviously, the answer is yes. Which means I may have a requirement of setting up a 192 series IP addresses in this particular region, maybe in this particular VNet. I can do that. So I can have multiple address spaces to your virtual network. You can have 192 as well. So during the creation of subnet, you either pick a 10 series or 192 series. It's up to you. Now, let us say that you have few subnets with 10 series, few subnets with 192 series within this VNet. Do I need to put some router in between to enable the communication? Not required. Azure will take care about that routing and other communication enablement, whatever is needed. So what I'm trying to explain here is your virtual network can have a multiple address spaces of different ranges. And during the creation of your subnet, you either pick 10 series or 192 series. So your VNet 1 can have a combination of these two subnets, 10 series subnets and 192 series subnets. Now, will these subnets of different IP address range will be able to communicate with each other without me doing anything? Yes. But when it comes to the traditional data center network model, you have to put a router to enable communication between these, right? But here it is not needed. Because they are all part of the same VNet, Azure will take care about this communication by creating the routes that whatever are needed. The system routes we call it. Okay, so that is another important thing. Now you see here within the settings the connected devices. It lists the devices that which are connected to this particular VNet. Of course, subnets of this VNet rather. You have two devices, and these are the network interface card details, right? It won't give the IP. See, the IP addresses are assigned to the network interface cards, not to the VMs. So that's the reason you are seeing the network interface card names and then IP addresses they are using. Okay, so this is another important thing. Now, so let us see if these machines are created so that I can explain you a couple of things quickly. So this VM is up and running. I'll connect into this. Right, so you logged into the server, which is VM1, which is obviously in subnet 1 of VNet 1, right? Okay, so let me quickly get into the IP configuration of this one. Okay, so let me put the IP config/all. Now, when you see this, let me increase the font so that you will be able to see this clearly. Where is the font? It's only now. Okay, it should be fine. Right. So now when you see this IP config/all, now it picks an IP address 10.0.0.4. So what does it mean? So we said that was for subnet 1 use this IP address, right? 10.0.0.0/24, right? So this is what we said. And it should start from 10.0.0 till 10.0.0.255, right? So that's how it should be. But why is that it is picking .4? Where are the first three IP addresses? 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. Where are they? So we'll understand that. So just remember that it picks from 4, okay? Now the next thing that what you need to understand is the default gateway. So it picks default gateway as 10.0.0.1. Then we understood that 1 is reserved for gateway in this range. And then it is getting an IP address from a DHCP server 168.63.129.16, which means that something from the backend is assigning this IP address. And it also picks the same IP address as a DNS server IP address. It also picks the same IP address as DNS server IP address. Now, what if I want to kind of change this DNS server? I don't want Azure DNS server. I have my own DNS internal DNS servers. I want those DNS servers to be used. Then I need to change this DNS server IP addresses. And of course, this one you cannot change it. It will be still DHCP assigned because the subnet whatever you created using that, this machine will assign the IP addresses. Okay, so let us get back to the configuration part. So what we understood is your virtual network, when you deploy it, it uses a backend DHCP service to assign the IP addresses, right? So let us get into the subnets. Now, subnet 1, it is 10.0.0.0/24, 250 are available. But our calculation says 254. There are few IP addresses that which are missing. So these IP addresses which are missing are used by your Azure service for internal purposes. For broadcasting, for gateway, and some other purposes that whatever it has internally. So that's the reason you are getting the IP address from 4. And obviously, there is another option setting here called as DNS services or DNS servers. Now this DNS server, by default, it is Azure provided DNS service or DNS servers. If you have your own custom DNS server, internally you may have your Active Directory environment and 8 integrated DNS servers might be there. Then you may want to use those servers for name resolution. Then you go and set your servers here, maybe 192.168.10.20. Maybe this is your DNS server IP address. Then you provide it and save it. If you have multiple DNS servers, you add them here. Then they will be updated. Now, if your VM is already running and you change the DNS server IP addresses, your ipconfig / and release will not get the new DNS IP address. No, it will not. You have to reboot the server. So if I put like on-premises machine, what do? Whenever I change something on the IP configuration, I'll go and put ipconfig release and renew, which gets the new details. But here it is not the case. You need to reboot the machine. So whenever you are, what do you call it as, changing the DNS servers of the machine which is already running, then you need to go and reboot the machine. Once it reboots, it picks the IP address that whatever you define here. That's how it is. Okay, right. So let us quickly reboot the. We did reboot this machine, right? So we'll connect to that and see if the IP address is changed or not. If it is up, when I say IP address, it is DNS IP address. I'm connecting to the same machine. Now, if I go and put the same ipconfig /all, then your DNS IP address is changed. Right? Likewise, you can change your DNS IP address. So in Azure, where do you provide your DNS server IP addresses? It's not at the network interface card. You provide, you configure it at the VNet level. And all the subnets, all the resources in that subnets will get this DNS server IP address. Okay. Now, so we understood the virtual machine creation within the VNets. Let us deploy one more VNet. Where are it's 7. Okay, so 749, right? Okay, so we'll deploy one more virtual network. Let us call it as VNet 2. Okay, so let us quickly create second virtual network. I'll call it as VNet 2. And I'll also put this in central US. Okay, and this time I'll create only one subnet within this one. I'll say it's subnet 3, subnet 4. 3 we already have. So this is the IP address of this VNet. It is 10.1.0.0/16, And this is the IP address of your subnet or IP address range of your subnet. So let us create this one. Okay, let us create this. So let me quickly open one more MS Paint. Now, what did we do so far? We created, this is your Azure environment, I assume so. And you created a VNet 1. And you created second VNet. Right? This is VNet 1. Got an IP address 10.0.0.0/60. And of course, within this VNet 1, we created 3 subnets: subnet 1, subnet 2, and subnet 3. And within this subnet 1, I created a virtual machine VM1, and this VM2. Right? That's what we did. Now, what did we do now? We created one more VNet with the name called as VNet 2. And in this, we created one subnet called as subnet 4. Okay, so let us quickly try to see the communication between these two. Let us try to do a quick ping and test between subnet 1 and subnet 2 while that subnet 4 gets come. Now I am in VM1 already. I'll connect it to my VM2. I'm connecting to my VM2. Right, this is your VM. Okay, so let us pick the IP address of this. IP config. So it is 10.0.1.4. I'll ping my VM1 from here, ping 10.0.0.4. So from VM2, I can ping VM1. Similarly, if I ping 10.0.1.4, it also pings. So between the subnets, the communication is very much there. They can communicate with each other. Now, what we do is we'll deploy one more virtual machine in the second VNet. Okay. Now, within this second VNet, I have a subnet 4, right? In the subnet 4, I'll create what do you call it as one virtual machine. Then we'll see the communication between the VNets. Okay. So what I do, I'll create a VM4 in VNet 2 subnet 4. Okay. So that's what we are going to do. So let me go here, add one more machine. I'll call it as VM4 for identification purpose. Central US I'll deploy a Windows machine. Right, so username, password. Right, so I'll leave the rest of the things as is. Networking, I'll go. And in this, now I want to put this machine in a different VNet, not VNet 1. I want to put this in VNet. And this VNet2 has got how many subnets? Only one subnet. I'll use that. And then I'll go and create this machine. Right? So we are creating VM4. So what did we do? We created VM4 here. VM4 here. Now let us quickly see what is the status of the communication between this VM and this VM and this VM and this VM, whether they will be able to communicate or not. Now they are in two different virtual networks. That is one thing that which we need to understand. And of course they are in different subnets as well. So this VM1, we need to test whether it is communicating with VNet4 or not. Similarly, VM2, whether it communicates with 4 or not. And of course, 4, whether it can communicate with 1 and 2 or not. That's what we are going to see. Okay. So let me quickly check if the machine is deployed. It is still in progress, the deployment. Still creating. So let me see if I can connect again. So let me get into this. So I'm connecting to VM4, which is in a different virtual network, right? Which is in a different virtual network. Let me get into the command prompt of this one. And we'll quickly see the IP address. This 10.1.0.4. So what I'll do is I'll try to ping my VM1. What is the VM1 IP address? 10.0.0.4, right? So will it ping? No, it will not. And let me try to ping VM2. What is the IP address of VM2? 10.0.1.4. Will it ping? It will not. So what we need to understand is this is the default behavior. That is how the environment is. This is how the Azure is set up. So you will not be able to communicate between the servers across different virtual networks. Okay, across different virtual networks, you will not be able to communicate. Now, what is that if I want to enable communication between these? What is that if I want to enable communication between these two VNets? What is that I need to do? So for that you have you have two solutions, not multiple. I'll say that two. One is peering. We call it as VNet peering. And you can also use gateway, Azure VPN gateway. These are the two solutions. So these two solutions will help you to enable communication between the virtual networks. By default, they are not. So if you are enabling communication between the two virtual networks in the same region, we call it as VNet peering. If they are in different regions, for example, VNet 1 is in central US, VNet 2 is in, let us say, central India, and you can still enable communication between them using peering. But that we call it as global VNet peering. Global VNet peering. So VNet peering within the same region. Global VNet peering if the VNets are in two different geographies. And of course, you can use a VPN gateway where if you use a gateway, then the traffic will be encrypted between the virtual networks. And of course, both of them does require a public IP address, and the traffic will flow through the public IPs if you are using the gateway. But most of the times we use VNet peering, whether it could be within the region or across the regions. Let us quickly go and understand how do we enable this peering between two VNets. It's very simple, straightforward. Couple of minutes it will take. So in order to use this VNet peering concept, I need to go to the VNet, right? I want to enable this between these two, right? Virtual network peering, VNet peering. So I'll go on to one of the VNet. I am on VNet 1. Here you see this option called as peerings. You need to add a peering, right? So I'm clicking on add. Now it says, boss, provide me the name. I'll say that VNet 1, VNet 2. That's the name. Now you are already on VNet 1, right? You are sitting on VNet 1 and configuring it. Now that's where it is asking you, boss, what is the destination? What is the destination? VNet 2. So I'm enabling communication from VNet 1 to VNet 2. But you should also do the other way. It cannot be only one way, right? So it should be two-way communication. So that's the reason it is asking me a name to enable communication between 2 and 1, right? I'll say that VNet 2 to VNet 1. So now it configures the two-way communication peering. And there are a couple of other settings, gateway transit and then allow traffic forwarding and all those things. These are all when you want to use the gateway and then forward the traffic across the VNets, and that time you use these settings, which we are not going to discuss today. So I'm just going and enabling the peering between these two. So now what you did, you created a peering between VNet 1 and VNet 2 and VNet 2 and VNet 1. So in some time you will be able to see, yeah, you can see on VNet 1, you see a peering with the name called as VNet 1 to VNet 2, right? This is on VNet 1. If you go to the VNet 2, within the same peering setting, on VNet 2, you see VNet 2 to VNet 1, and it is connected, and then the peer is VNet 1. Similarly, on VNet 1, if you go to the peering, it shows connected and its peer is VNet 2. Okay. Now what happens now? I now got this VNet peering enabled. Now whether there is a change in the behavior, let me go and ping our machines. Now I can ping VM1 from VM4. Earlier I couldn't. And similarly, I can ping VNet 2 as well. And if I go and ping from VM1 10.1.0.4, which is my VM4, I could ping. Similarly, from VM2, ping 10.1.0.4, I can ping. Right? I can ping. So this is how you enable the communication between, what do you call it, as VNets. And when it comes to the architectural these things and other stuff, you may have to go and look at hub and spoke model. How do you kind of go and enable? Because you don't want to, if let us say that you have some 10 VNets, right? Then how do I enable communication between these 10 VNets? Do I need to create peering between one VNet to the next 9? That is, if you have that requirement. So that time you use something called as hub and spoke model. Maybe if you have time, go and look at Azure Virtual Network hub and spoke model, which will help you to understand how exactly we'll design, the communication when it comes across, what do you call it, as VNets. You need not have to create this mesh kind of peering, and then it is very tough for you to manage when you go. And it is not the way to configure as well, right? So you go with the hub and spoke model, and then you configure the communication. But yeah, so this is the basic concept of peering. So to enable the communication between, what do you call it, as virtual networks, which is not by default. Okay. So I'll stop here. I think we still have some more time. If you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and you can ask. If I can, I'll try to answer to the maximum extent. If you have any questions.
So are you going to show today Azure VPN gateway also, Vijay?
No, VPN gateway, maybe we'll plan some other class, some other session maybe. Gateway does take time. So maybe I think today's we are more into the VNets and then VNet peering. We'll plan some other session on gateway, which I'll be able to show that should be a problem. Maybe upcoming week or couple of weeks later. But this is what for today.
Okay, thank you.
Ashish. So any other questions from anybody, guys, before I say we are done?
No, Vijay. Thank you.
Okay, so if no questions, thanks for joining. I'll be sharing the recording of this. You can go through it. In case if you have any questions or any doubts, then you can write to me on my email, which is vijay@virtualvmla.com. So I'll be checking my email frequently, so we can get in communication. That should not be a problem. Okay, right.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Good night. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for your time. Bye.